But many times I've been clear, but and I guess
How many times officially?
how many times?
Yeah.
2 times.
2 times?
Yeah.
You working like I guess a risky place where you.
No, I'm retired because I'm retired. So the only risky thing I do is the acting. Other than that, I just stay in my. I live in Fairfield, so I just stay in my house by myself. This is really neat. Is this your studio then, or?
Well, actually, a gentleman by the name of John Miller, he actually owns the studio.
Yeah.
We were in time to do
Yeah.
different podcasts,
Yeah.
things like. I think he might have about 50 podcasts here besides this one.
Yeah.
Stuff, but it's pretty cool. Nice. Get a chance to be media,
Oh yeah.
radio, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's kind enough to allow us to do events here.
Yeah. That's nice.
That's good.
It's it's a pretty good location, really.
I guess the only thing as with San Francisco,
Yeah. It's a little rough area here, but
it's difficult to find parking. That's the main thing. Like we have a bunch of people. Hey, where do we park?
yeah.
Where do we park that we don't get towed?
I just park in the Fifth and Mission parking lot.
Oh, okay, for you.
Yeah.
You already have it planned out.
Yeah, because well, the main thing is because I come from Fairfield, I have to use a restroom. There you can use a restroom, or else I won't. You're driving for over an hour.
Oh yeah. How was traffic coming?
Good. No traffic. It's traffic the other way. Yeah.
Oh, going back, huh?
Yeah.
How's it out in Fairfield these days? You guys affected by that heat wave?
Oh yeah, it's like 110 degrees. For cooking.
Yeah.
I think today is like 100.
Oh, okay. Is that normal?
Yeah.
Oh.
Are we live now, or?
We live on the live thing. We live. After this song, we'll be live on the
Okay.
radio. Now it's just people like looking at it live.
Oh, okay. So we are. Okay.
Live stream is available on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Periscope.
Oh, okay.
Periscope is available. But after we finish, so it's on YouTube now. So if you watch it live on YouTube, and once it's finished,
Yeah.
the playback will be available like in a bunch of hours. I'm not sure how it works on Facebook Live.
I don't know.
But if somebody's watching on Facebook Live, they can.
Okay, but I'm sorry, in a few minutes we'll be on.
We'll be on the radio.
On the radio.
So
what radio?
To listen to this, they can click on the link that I sent you.
Yeah, oh, I see. That link, I got you. That's cool.
This is actually something we did. Maybe we started about a month ago.
Oh yeah.
So you literally you might be the fourth person that we actually did it with. Leah Moore X. He was at the award show.
Yeah. Say if I want to can I put a little clip of this on my Facebook? Okay. How would I do that? Right. I'll see.
I can, like I said, once it's available, it'll be available on YouTube.
Sure.
You can get it as well through. I guess you would have to go through. I don't really use Facebook Live,
Yeah.
but I know it's recorded on Facebook Live. But I guess you can get it from there as well. You definitely can
Thank you for me being here too.
But hey, I wanted to have an opportunity to interview. I mean, you've been coming to you're one of the few people who've been to like all 3 events.
I really love it. Yeah.
Only like about 3 or 4 people.
Yes.
I think it's you. Eyes.
The lady who tells the jokes.
Yeah, because you guys are like the 3 that been involved with it all through years. That's right.
I really like it. It's very nice. I'm always happy to be here.
With that. All right, guys. As promised, we have a very special guest in the house. Set up his microphone so you guys can hear him. I think he's on mic 4. Mic 4. Try mic 4.
Okay, can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Yeah, we'll go say.
All right.
Yeah, oh yeah, you're registering. So we have Joseph Camilleri, a wonderful actor.
Thank you.
From the Bay Area. So the first question we want to ask Joseph, at what point in your life did you catch the acting bug?
Oh, well, that's a really long story, but
hey, we got time.
Okay, but basically, I started acting when I was 58 years old after I retired from this. But before that, I was in the military. I was a naval flight officer for about 8 years, and then I was a civil engineer for Caltrans for like the next 24 years.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. So then, after I retired, so say when I was about 58 years old, I went to my son's apartment, and he had like a keyboard, and then he told me to take it home. So I took the keyboard home because I was kind of interested in learning how to play the piano, and then I started taking piano lessons, and about a year after I took the piano lessons, somebody said, "Why don't you learn how to sing?" Because they have lyrics on the piano piece, and so I did, and it turned out that I could sing pretty well. And my instructor said, "Yeah, you can sing really nice." And at that time, I qualified with her to sing like the national anthem for the Sacramento Kings.
Oh, that's great.
I was on the pool. Yeah, and then so then at this time, the whole time, she was my piano teacher and my kind of voice teacher, music teacher. Her name was Marcella Raggio. Then she told me she was an actress. Okay. So at that time, I said, I never met an actor or an actress or a singer before. And so then I started taking acting lessons at that time. So that was like about 5 years ago.
Okay, well, did you have any indication that you had all these hidden talents?
None. I had never. I was a very, very regimented type of person, very quiet. I kind of just lived by myself very quietly. I never even sang like one word in my whole life, and I never did anything related to acting at all. Nothing. Nothing at all. But I think what happened is when I was about 57, 58, I kind of had like some type of rebirth in my body. Something happened. So when I started taking these piano lessons, I started playing, and I could hear the chords very vivid in my mind. And then when I started singing, I could just match the pitch, So something energetic happened to me from God at that time.
Yeah, it sounded like it.
Yeah,
definitely sounded like a godly thing.
Yes,
a transformation. But I'm figuring you probably had that talent inside, but maybe like when you were growing up, maybe like you didn't have a way to like cultivate it during that time.
That's true. Probably, I think you're right. I probably had the talent all my life, but I was not aware of it at all.
It seemed like you were natural at it. Stuff.
Yeah. That's what. Well, actually, when I started acting, I got into a lot of roles in different films, and I've been on many, many films, probably a lot, which is. And then about 2.5 years ago, I met this director, Michael Cera, and I produced several films with him, about 11 films. And then I met Renee Perez, which I'm working with him, producing a total of 5 films. And with him, I did this films, Cabal and the Insurrection. And Cabal is commercially released across the United States.
Nice.
Yes, and then Insurrection, Renee Perez and I released it on Amazon Prime and Vimeo. And right now we just finished this film called Righteous Blood, which is going to come out pretty soon in the next few months.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes.
So, what made you get into film production? How did that happen?
That is such a weird, that is a really weird story because I never.
Hey, we're in the Odd Fellows building, so this is
Great.
the perfect place
Right.
for a weird story.
Right, because definitely I did not go to it. Well, the only classes I took the only classes I took was, I took like about 3 or 4 years of acting classes here. And I took just acting classes, but I never took any classes related to filmmaking or anything like that. And then, I went on this guy, Taylor, I can't remember his last name. I think it's Kasich. He was like a director, and he. So what happened is that I went. I was supposed to go for an audition for him, play like the lead role or second lead role, and then I didn't go because something was wrong with the weather or the parking, so I never came to San Francisco. Then he calls me out of the blue saying, "Well, why didn't you come to the audition?" And I said I couldn't because of all the parking, there was something wrong with the traffic, like maybe the bridge was closed down or something. And so then he later met with me, and then so I went on we went like on a weekend film shoot like in the Santa Cruz Mountains, but it didn't work out because the weather was really bad, and then he didn't have enough people on the cast, on the crew, so it was a mess up. And then I said, "Oh, that's really sad," because then I see like, "Oh, you need to have some control of what's going on," you know. And he lost a lot of money, and all I remember was from this experience how he was a director. I was seeing what he was trying to do, and he was trying to produce a film, and I could see things wrong. And so anyway, after that, then I thought, why don't I produce a film? So I talked to Michael Cera, and I said, "Can you produce a film to make a short film?" And they said, "Well, with that money, we could do a regular film." And so what ended up happening is he wrote this film called Blood Relative, which is
That's an excellent title, by the way.
Blood Relative by Wild Dog Productions, which has been a monster hit. It's on YouTube. It just crossed 2 million views.
Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah, so he's getting like the number of views like a major motion picture would get.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so in that film, it was just my first time working with Michael, and I played a evil crime boss. I get cast like an evil crime boss all the time.
A gangster.
But a crime boss, you know,
a high level gangster.
High level gangster. So, and then there, he was in control. So the plot of the story is, I had talked to him about, why don't you make a film called like the Singing Hitman, where you have like,
Okay.
where you have like a guy who sings like Sound of Music songs, but when he sings it, he goes ahead and kills the people. You know.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
I would watch that movie.
But he didn't want to do it like that. But he did create a story of a crime boss who had such control. All the people underneath everybody had fear, and he sang not too well, but nobody would complain about him. So that in this story, I played that kind of part, and it's basically a story of this guy whose sister gets accidentally killed by the mob, and then he tries to find out who did it, and then he's involved in several gunfights, and the plot expands over there. So if you see it, it's it's kind of like a cult film. So that's called Blood Relative.
Where can I see it at?
On YouTube.
On YouTube?
Yeah. It's Blood, BLOOD, Relative, RELATIVE, by Wild Dogs Productions. And it has like 2 million views, so you'll see that.
It'd be pretty easy to find it, I guess.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. So you do acting and
Producing it.
Producing.
Yeah.
So which one do you prefer?
Oh, totally acting. But so acting, but well, I like both, but producing is such a hard job. It takes a lot of financial resources, takes a lot of your time, and it's very hard on your body. I can't. That's I may probably well, I got to produce some more films, but I will probably stop in a year or so.
Okay.
Yeah, but acting is what I really like.
You prefer to be in front of the camera than
behind
the camera.
Yeah.
So, do you remember your first role?
Yes.
How was that?
I just played the role. So the first film I was in was so there's like the Japanese. They come here to make a lot of films, and they have like these series called like Those Amazing Stories. So what they do is they find real life stories or documentaries that happen here, and then they reenact it, and then they show it in Japan. So the whole cast is Americans, but then they dub it in Japanese.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah. So then, so then my first role was playing like as a doctor, but as an extra.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was very fascinating to see because I had went on set and then I saw so many people related to the crew, about 10 or 12 people, and then I saw all the main actors and then the extras, and then how they had like a pool of extras, and I didn't realize that we had to like stand by. It's a kind of a different experience. But then when I went home that night, I was so happy to be, because ordinarily it takes a while just to get selected for any film, it's a lot by luck and you just have to persevere a lot. But I remember because this was filmed like in Yountville, because there was like a medical hospital there for the military reserve people. And I remember when I was driving home how happy I was to actually be on film for the first time.
Yeah, it had to be a wonderful feeling.
Yes. And then.
So how soon after that did you get your first lead role?
Oh,
how did that come about?
I would say, I did a couple of short films, small films. One was called Let's Play Spirit Born or something like that. The title was like a game animation and fantasy, and that was with Michael Cera. So that would be the first one. Second one that I did was I can't remember the title, but it was a short story. Desiree Durbin was the director. She was only like 13 years old at that time.
Oh, okay.
And I played the lead as an old military guy that was wounded. That met these kids at a shop, and it was just a scene about my military experience and about their experiences. Kind of like, it was a nice story. So those were the two leads, and then I would say the real big one for me was Year 8. Year 8, I was a producer.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, I think that was really good. Year 8. I like the cast.
Yes.
Storyline was good. It was sort of like a web series.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yes. Yeah. So Michael Fredinelli, I think, broke it up into like 6 or 7 episodes, and then I know he had the whole script in his mind, but he would just write episode by episode, and then we would go film, and generally each episode was about 10, 15 minutes long, but at the end of every episode, I was so excited to watch because it was a very exciting story, and then at the end, there would be something to keep you hanging, you know.
Yeah, like a little cliffhanger.
Like a cliffhanger,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, very well done.
Yes, and so then one of the main actresses that I worked with, her name was Jeannie Young, who's a fairly a famous actress in the Bay Area, and I also worked with this other guy named Alexander Hero and Vivian Farmer, and Alexander Hero is, I believe he worked for this director Edward Castrillo, and they're directing. I can't remember the title, but about a driver, a threatening driver.
Okay.
But I can't remember the title at this moment. So yeah, so it's really neat is you get to meet so many. Yeah. So here I am, living by myself, and now, you know, I probably know 400 or 500 actors.
You got this extensive network of people you know now and stuff.
Oh yes, yes.
So is that how you get most of your roles?
Before I would say, let's say before I started producing, I would just apply at SF Casting. SF Casting is where directors and producers list out available roles, and then you would go for audition. And so before I would just go a lot through the audition process, but since I've been producing these films, because when you do these films, it's a lot of work. You know, it's like a 6 month, a year long project. You know.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I've been working with Renee Perez. He's a fairly top B director, and so all the work requirements are much more harder, you know. Because so on these films, I've actually worked with, you know, Hollywood stars, say. So the production value is much higher. Yeah.
So which top stars or, I guess, memorable actors and actresses do you have the opportunity to
work with? Yeah.
To work with?
I would say definitely, because I've done 2 films, The Insurrection, and this other film called Righteous Blood is I worked with Michael Cera. So Michael Cera was you know him? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Michael Cera.
He did Streets of Fire and Eddie and the Cruisers.
Yeah, okay. And, I noticed one that I seen you in, Tom Sizemore was in.
Which one?
I think it may have been. So I want to say you were. I think maybe you were playing a priest, or he was playing a priest, or something like that.
I am not sure. Well, I'm just saying now the biggest stars that I've worked directly, you know, like as a co-star.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I've been on other films where there's been other stars, but I was like an extra or much lower capacity. But so he was, and then also this lady Wilma Ellis. She's a top, like, European actress, and she's like a top star in Turkey, and she's a very, very famous actress in Europe. So
that's nice.
So those would be really the top 2, and then recently on this film Righteous Blood, I've been working with this lady named Emily Whitcomb, and she's going to be a rising star. She's from the East Coast.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, and so she was so the main 3 actors in the film The Resurrection of Blood was Michael Cera, myself, and Emily Whitcomb. So I think she's going to be very famous in the future.
Right. We look forward to seeing her in many projects to come. So, do you have any people who you would like to, as far as actors and actresses, who you would like to work with one day?
Oh, well, I can't say too much what's going on, but I worked on a film that had the potential to be on a feature film pilot with a big star. And I can't say anything other than that, other than I've been just waiting for it to happen. And then I can't say his name now because then that would. Yeah.
So do you have? Like
I'll say somebody else. Yeah, like because if I say that, then I don't want to say that on the. I don't want to say it on the podcast until it finally happens.
Right, I got you.
But
so what are some of your favorite projects that you had an opportunity to work on?
There was this show called it was like the second film that I went to. There was a TV series called Sense8. I don't know if it's about the supernatural, and it's about these events.
I like stuff like that.
Yeah. It was a big time show, and it's like occult occurrences occurring like in 8 or 9 different cities. But anyway, so this was like 4.5 years ago. I went on the set, and they were doing like a wedding scene at the Grace Cathedral in San Francisco, a very beautiful church. And then they had so I was part of the 250 extras. 250 extras to fill up the church. Well, anyway, I come in and I check in, and then the casting director comes up to me and says, "We want to cast you as the father of the groom in this wedding."
Wow. You came in the door and you instantly upgraded.
That was a big time. I mean, that was so gigantic because that
had to be cool.
That had to be so. They pulled me away, and then they took me up, to the wardrobe. I had to be specially fitted, and they did all the makeup. And then so I was rehearsing just with the main stars for that whole day, and so definitely I don't have that episode. It's called The Wedding. I think it was in season 2, episode 9, but I'm not sure. But anyway, for me that was such a gigantic thing, to actually be on a Netflix show right off the bat.
I think I do remember seeing that show.
So, yes.
I'm gonna look for it. I think I do.
Yeah. Yes, but and they had I remember the 2 directors were the same directors who did The Matrix.
Oh, okay.
They're very famous.
Oh, you mean the team of brothers?
Yeah, they're like transgender or something like that.
Oh, real? I didn't know that about them, but.
Yeah, it's a team of it's the famous 2 brothers.
I know who you talk. I want to say the Kalowski brothers or something like that.
I can't remember.
Yeah. They did a lot of good movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then one of the directors, because we filmed like inside the chapel, like they had like a chapel, and they had some scenes there, and then they filmed us in the main wedding part, walking down it. So I was like walking down the aisle, right behind the bride and the groom. Anyway, he said that I did a good job, so I was so happy.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
So going back throughout your life, did you ever imagine growing up that you would be a singer, an actor, a movie producer?
Yes.
That never crossed your mind?
Like never, like not at all. And it's so because all my I worked for Caltrans, and then when I told them that, they didn't believe me at all. They didn't believe me. So I went to the Caltrans offices in Sacramento, and I sang in front of them, in front of about 30 people. So they say, "Oh yeah, you can sing now." But that shows like a big change because I would have never done that before, And then after I sent them some DVDs of the movies, so they could definitely see that.
They were like, we never imagined.
No.
Caltrans, that's a very serious, serious type of job.
Yeah, seriously.
Caltrans.
Yeah, I did what I did is like structural. Just to show you, I went to Berkeley. I had like an academic scholarship to Berkeley. I majored in civil engineering, and then after I got out of the military, I got my master's in structural engineering, and I did very, very sophisticated designs, like on the San Francisco Bay Bridge, on the retrofit of that.
Okay.
And so all I did, so I could look at buildings, and I could structurally look at it, and everything seemed so clear. And so, I did not fit the parameters of having, like an open mind, and anything like that, and being creative. That is so different.
Yeah. But at the same time, to look in your mind and structure something and design it, that takes a lot of imagination and creativity. I think if you would have had an opportunity to apply yourself to
be an actor,
I think you would have easily done it much earlier. But it felt like your mind was set in a different sort of way.
Yes.
But you were successful at that as well, so that's great.
Yes.
So do you have any? Well, let me ask you this question.
Yes.
And it's sort of like a two-part. So, what advice would you give to someone who was in your situation when they retired and they they got all this new time on their hands?
Yes.
What would you suggest for them to do, like a new retiree?
Well, what I think the biggest thing is because when you get older, like right now I'm 64, right? And when you get older, you have a lot of fears, because as you get older, you get kind of scared of things, and you don't want to take any chances. And of course, in your whole life, you take classes, you graduate, you try to prepare so much to obtain whatever objectives you want to have. And so I always felt tremendous fear in this acting, because I just said, what the heck am I doing this?
Yeah.
And so, and also I could see, like, I'm working with these other actors and directors, how talented they are, how much, why am I even entering this field? Because I feel so inadequate, And so I would just say, but then I really liked it. So I would just say, you have to experiment. And even if you have tremendous fears, or you really don't think that you should be doing a particular thing because of failure and maybe wasting money and all this other kind of stuff, but then you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen, and so and of course, when you're producing films, you could feel like you're doing all these things, but you could feel like you're at the point of failure. Like the film doesn't produce or doesn't take off.
Yeah.
It's very, so with all these things, but then the last 5 years have been like the most exciting 5 years of my whole life.
That's great.
Yeah. So, and then for me, to have the opportunity to meet, for me, when I went to your Grand Royal Music Awards 2 years ago, I was so fascinated because, I'm saying, I can't even believe I'm sitting here listening. I just can't tell you, I can't believe that I'm with all these artists that have such talent, and I could see it, that I really appreciate it. And also because I sing and I know how difficult it is to sing and to hit the notes and so maybe I lost my train of thought, but what I'm just saying is you cannot forecast. I could never forecast. I was going to see these things. Yeah, but what to be near all these artists, actors, singers, and they all have a different point of view. They have like different energy coming at you. It's a very to me it's a very beautiful thing. And also definitely if you're going to be an actor or a singer, you have to have kind of an open mind. Or you can't be like to one way or another, or else you wouldn't enter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then definitely in acting, you have to open yourself up. In acting, you have to pick up the responses and cues of the other person. You have to feel all the emotion. So doing all of that is an opening experience within you too. Yeah.
I want to ask you another question.
Sure.
With acting, so in the pandemic situation where we have social distancing,
yes.
So you acting and it may require you to be close to somebody,
yes.
and maybe hug them. Is there a difference that you see in that now before COVID?
Oh,
during?
Well, definitely. So when we do the acting, you're still supposed to maintain as much as you can the 6 foot separation, wear a mask, not supposed to be sick, you're supposed to use hand sanitizer and all that kind of stuff. But when you first come on set, you're kind of nervous about the whole situation. And I think what I saw what like Renee Perez did is that, I don't know if he did it on purpose, but he tried to film all the shoot days so you keep the same people like in what do they call it, a cell or in a bubble?
Bubble, yeah.
Yes. So then you just try to be in the same bubble, and then so that's all you can do. But there's no 100% safeguard, from not getting COVID. So anyway, so in the beginning I felt very nervous, and then, but then once you start acting, you do the acting.
Yeah.
But then definitely, when you finish the shoot, then then I'm kind of hoping the next 14 days nobody gets sick or something. Yeah, like that.
Well, that's good. This is an interesting question about. I know in that situation sometimes because I was watching a commercial last night.
Yes.
And at the end of the commercial, the two people hugged, and it was sort of they were like sitting on the couch, supposed to be husband and wife, and sort of like the wife sort of like put her head in the guy's lap. I don't think, wow, in this situation, how did they? And I'm assuming it was filmed during the pandemic. Like, how do you get somebody to do that? And like you said, get over the fear. So we can do it, and you can make it look natural. So that had to be some kind of.
Well, I know for regular union shoots, I mean, like SAG, the Screen Actor Guilds, they have rules, so they require everybody to take a COVID test before they start.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But notwithstanding, even if you take the COVID test, you can still get it after that.
That is true. That's definitely true. I just found that kind of fascinating. The next question I would like to ask you, and this is for individuals who are interested in getting into acting and getting into film production. What would be the best way for them to do that?
Okay, I would say for acting, basically you should take acting classes, and I took acting classes from Film Acting Bay Area. It's a school in Emeryville by this director, Cella Kaya, excuse me. And so he teaches about doing acting in front of the camera for film. So there they kind of had you practice going through scenes, doing the blocking. Blocking means the movement of and stuff like that. So I think you have to, excuse me, I think you have to actually take acting classes for about 6 months to a year. But some people are naturally good actors. And a lot in acting also you're cast for your look. So like 95% of the, I'm going to drink some water here because my voice is going out. When you get selected, it's basically on your looks because they're casting you for a look.
That's true.
Right. So that's kind of like the main ticket that you have to have that. But you also have to know how to act. So I would say take an acting class for at least for 6 months to a year. And then if you could take Meisner training, Meisner training relates to how you pick up the person's cue, how you respond.
Okay. Yeah.
So all of those those were very different things to me, you know. And so, and then you just have to keep taking acting classes all the time, because it's kind of like if you want to be a weight trainer if you want to look strong, you got to go to the gym all the time. You can't just
go show up one time,
or you can't just do it for 6 months and then just stop.
You gotta maintain. So what about pictures and things like that? How did that come into play? Like
what's that?
Taking pictures, your headshots and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Then so normally as an actor they would require that you take headshots, and because the headshots are what you present on SF casting. And then they also, when you take these acting classes, they have you do multiple scenes so that you can audition. You have to learn how to audition. And so the first step is that they have you go through monologues. Monologues are just like you're acting, but it's all like it's you who's doing the acting. And generally, like in the beginning when I was taking auditions, so what happens is I didn't even know this, but there's many acting schools in the Bay Area, so those acting schools will audition people to be actors in their student films and stuff like that.
Good.
Yeah. So, but I think it's really hard to say all the things, because I think the main thing is what I see is you can't because anybody, they could film anybody, but then when they're actually on film, they look just like just in the background. They don't stand out. So you have to have some quality that you're not part of the background, that you stand out, that you attract people to look at you. So you have to be, like kind of charismatic too.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Charismatic, stay in the background, and you have to have a look. So those are kind of things that are innate with the person, So, and then you have to have all the acting skills. So it's not a regular job. It's not like like when I was like an engineer, you just get your degree and then you apply and then you just work. But for acting, there's so many people that want to be actors that it's almost impossible.
Yeah. Do you believe people looking from the outside in, maybe they don't see all the hard work that it takes to be an actor?
They don't see it. No, of course not. They think it's like the actors are just kind of like partying and just all they have is good looks and they just come on set.
Yeah, just magically.
And it's magically do all it.
Yeah.
Right.
So even though you made it seem easy because you got into it,
yeah.
I think of the combination of what you said, that you had the look and the charisma, and also you put in the work by like, going after school.
Oh, yeah.
So I think those combinations probably help you get further quickly in 5 years than most people. So that's great. So
and then when I've been working, once producing, I mean I work like actually these last 5 years I worked more than I was working in a regular job that I had before, way more.
But how do you feel about this? So do you how much more do you enjoy these 5 years than when you were like working Caltrans, being in the Navy and all that?
Well, at that time I was happy what I was doing, sort of.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel fulfilled. I know I didn't feel fulfilled. And all of it, like the 24 years that I was just seemed like a blur, like a blur. I don't know. All I could say is if you ever, I remember when I did this film as an extra called Hard Profit for Michael Cera, but I had a big role as an extra. I was a guy killing so many people. but then when you actually see it on the film, on the screen, on the full screen, it's very overwhelming. So that it's kind of addictive. So then you're willing to do anything. So basically, my whole attitude now, here I am, 64. It's like I'm willing to do anything to be on film. So because it's very addictive,
You want more and more and more. So do you have any upcoming projects you can kind of like tell us to be on the lookout for?
Oh yeah. So I would say the immediate one would be Righteous Blood, because we just completed, and the trailer for it is going to be coming out pretty soon. So that's with Michael Cera and Emily Whitcomb. And that's directed by Renee Perez. And then we've already started shooting a horror film. We shot at this big castle located in Calistoga. I didn't even know there was a castle. And so the next two films will be a horror film by Renee Perez.
My favorite genre.
Yes. And then I'm working on this other film called Sophie and the Serial Killers, directed by Michael Thorgerson. It's a fantasy musical.
Sounds good.
Yes. There I sang a couple of songs on that. And then I'm going to be doing a film with this guy named David Williams, and he's an LA director. And so that will be sometime later next year. I'm talking about like a year, a quarter from now.
So you're doing all these films, you're a producer. So if people were interested in being extras, how can they possibly sign up to like I guess one of your casting calls? What do they have to do?
That's because I already know everybody, so I just talk to them directly.
I mean, like if I wanted a role, maybe like reading the book in one of your movies, how can I do that?
Well, I mean the best would be to go through SF casting.
SF casting.
Yes. I'm not trying to be funny on this subject, but what happens is, these bigger films, they have a casting director, so the casting director will cast everybody. So I'm not going to try to.
So the casting director has control over who's in the movie.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right.
Yes.
The leads and the extras.
Yes, everybody.
Guys heard it. Your first step is to sign up at SF
Casting,
and hopefully the casting director will like your look and cast you as an extra. And maybe you'd be fortunate, like Joseph, have so much charisma that they'll pull you to say, hey, we want to offer you a main role. That can happen.
That can happen, yes.
First step, sign up to SF Casting.
Right.
So for people who want to get in contact with you, to follow you, to maybe like send you positive messages and say how much they enjoyed you in films,
yeah.
What's the best way to contact you?
Because I'm such an old person, because I know everybody has like Instagram, but I just mainly on Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Just search your name.
Yes. And that,
right. Just search Joseph Camilleri.
Yes.
And spell your last name because people
misspell it.
They misspell it because they spell it how they think
yes.
they're hearing it. So what's the correct way to spell your name? Last name.
C-A-M as in Mary, I-L-L-E-R-I.
All right. Joseph Camilleri.
Yes.
So we definitely thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
We look forward to having you again. Maybe like come talk to us with like one of these blockbuster films you're doing, releases. Maybe
yes.
You know, come in and bring some of your actor friends and director friends, and we have like a nice little party.
Well, and thank you so much. I really like you so much as a person. I've been following you, and I really like the whole organization around the Grand Royal Music Awards. It's been so great, and I really like the last one that you had.
Oh yeah. We appreciate you coming out and giving us that support. You know, it encourages us to keep on doing it. All right, thank you for being on the show. We're gonna see you again soon.
Okay, thank you for that.
All right, thank you, Joseph. So this should be available.
Well, you're a very good intern.